Hey guys, welcome to another episode of XG Explain. My name is Willie and
I'm Rovik, and welcome back. Welcome to our 7th episode.
hey, you know what, Rovik? I'm so sorry that I couldn't make it for the last session.
Yeah.
And we had Elliot, right? Elliot.
Don't worry, Elliot actually did a pretty good job.
Really?
I don't think he's ready to replace you. But,
Damn it. Okay. Yeah.
But I think a lot of people liked having him around.
Really? Am I going to get replaced?
No, don't worry. The robots will take over.
Oh, the robots will take over first.
Yeah.
Before. Okay,
Yeah.
I see. Okay, great. All right. Today we have a change of view. Behind that's my desk.
Yeah.
So we're around the office again, and today we're going to be talking about something really that is quite close to a lot of Singaporeans' hearts, I think.
Yeah, and actually, it's something that I never knew too much about. I mean,
Okay.
I've seen it in my neighborhood, but we're going to be talking about the Tote board, Singapore pools, and gambling.
And gambling, wow.
Yeah. So I've personally never gambled, but I've always been curious about how ingrained this is in Singaporeans' culture.
Right.
I mean, there's nowhere you can go in Singapore where you don't mention when you mention 4D and Toto, no one knows what you're talking about.
Right.
And in fact, it's such a big part of our society that, like, in a lot of TV shows and movies, it's almost like a comic occurrence, or maybe even like a key event that changes the lives of people.
Right.
Right. So
Right.
we kind of wanted to see, actually, what is the story of 4D and Toto, and then Singapore Streets and all this kind of stuff in Singapore, and actually, what are the odds of winning?
Okay.
So let's jump into it.
Sure. I mean, and of course, usually we'll always say this. If you have something you want to talk about with regards to today's topic is about gambling, 4D, Tote board. Oh my! I mean, one of the great questions is, hey guys, has any of you ever placed a bet in 4D? Or maybe what other games we have? Toto.
Even racing.
Horse racing, that's right.
Yeah.
If you have, just, if it's convenient, just leave it in the comment section. Or if you really want to talk about something that's specific to gambling in these kind of games, like 4D, Toto, and horse racing, do leave us a comment, and then we'll be sure to reply you and try to talk about it.
Yep.
But okay, without further ado, let's jump right in. I mean, today we are going to be talking about the history of the Tote board.
We'll talk about more than the history. We'll talk
Okay.
about exactly how these games work.
Okay.
And do you have a shot at winning?
Right.
So maybe at the end we'll be making bets, but I based on the numbers I've been seeing, it's probably not.
Okay. All right. How much are you going to bet today? That we're going to get more than 10 viewers. Right. At the same shot.
You know what? I'll put $5 on.
$5.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. He says $5. Let me check my wallet. Let's see. We got $5. No, I can't do that.
You only have big notes.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so the Tote board, which is basically the rebranded form of the Singapore Totalizator board.
Okay. So that's a whole name, right?
Yeah, the
Okay.
Singapore Totalizator board. I think it's Totalizator is like the term for like people who basically organize a lot of these gambling events.
So what's the definition of totalizator?
You know what? Good question.
Good question, right? Yeah. Let me see as well. What is the meaning?
Oh no, it's basically something that shows the number and amount of bets. So it's a bet manager.
Okay.
Essentially.
Oh, I learned a new word today.
Yeah.
Totalizator is a device showing the number and amount of bets staked on the race to facilitate the division of the total among those backing the winner.
Yeah.
Right. Mouthful.
Exactly. So we call it the Tote board in Singapore.
Sounds like a machine.
We don't use the long form, but it's one of the I think it's the main arm of the government in Singapore that manages anything to do with betting and gambling. So it was established on 1st January 1988,
Okay.
and it holds the legal right to two main things:
Okay.
horse racing. And that's through Singapore Turf Club, so that's a subsidiary.
Okay.
And we'll talk about each of these actually. And then the second is gambling and lottery competition. So that's 4D, Toto, Singapore Sweep, and sports and motor betting. So those are the four things under Singapore pools. So we have Singapore Turf Club with horse racing, and we have Singapore pools with 4D, Toto, Singapore Sweep, and sports and motor betting. So The key thing to know though is that the Tote board is okay. I'm seeing a very interesting comment. It says,
Why don't you read it out?
okay, Ryan Couch is saying, I love gambling. Maybe it's a woman, maybe it's not.
Not sure.
I think it's a different form of gambling, right?
Okay. I get it right now.
We can probably, it's not covered in our episode, but
Right.
we want to
Today-
see what your odds have been. What
are your odds of landing a partner, I suppose?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we can talk about that in a future episode as
Yeah.
well. Maybe about
It's relevant, it's as she explained.
finding love in Singapore, right?
Yeah. Oh,
But
wow.
thank you for that comment, Ryan. It's we will talk about that maybe in the next episode or something.
Yeah, we will consult you.
Okay.
The key thing to note about the Tote board, going
Right.
back to that, is that actually, the key question people ask is like, why is the government managing betting? Or rather,
Okay.
why does the government have this mandate that's created this,
That's a good question.
this
Yeah.
institution to manage betting?
Right.
It's mainly because they wanted to, according to what I'm reading online, they mainly wanted to, first of all, regulate it. So
Okay.
by doing it themselves, they can regulate it, make sure it's done responsibly, because people were doing it anyway,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
But secondly, they actually channel the money that they earn towards grant-making activities.
All right.
So any gaming surpluses that are generated, that money, and as well as from Turf Club and Singapore, as well as any entry levy that is taken from the integrated resorts,
Right.
all of that is channeled towards grant making, towards social causes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
actually, the Tote board does a lot of good with money that's gambled, which is it's interesting, right?
Right.
Because that creates this value system that is questionable.
All right.
You're taking money from people who are gambling,
Okay.
and you're channeling it towards good causes.
Hey, sounds like the people who are gambling are actually donating.
Exactly. So maybe some people are like, you know what? It's a good idea for me to gamble because even if I lose, disadvantaged people benefit.
Right.
So-
Right. That reminds me. Do you remember the whole NK saga, the
With-
National Kidney Foundation saga?
yeah, with TT Durai.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they were sort of like if you were to put like $10 for a phone call, if you donated, and you could possibly win a car or
Right.
a trip, or I think at some point in time you could win a house. Or a
Yeah,
home.
yeah,
You
yeah.
remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that could be something similar, but
I think
I'm
they
not sure.
probably in-house their own gambling. It was kind of like sweepstakes,
okay.
right, which is a very common form of raising money.
Right.
So I guess you could think of this, actually, yeah, that's a good point. You could think of this as this grand fundraising campaign
Right.
that just basically uses existing institutions like 4D, Toto, all
Okay.
this kind of stuff to
Okay.
earn money. The chairman and the board members of the Tote board,
Right.
they are appointed by the Minister for Finance.
Okay.
So these people are directly appointed. Their job is to make sure that everything is well maintained. And there's actually, we'll go into this later, but basically it's a lot of values and,
Right,
and,
right.
and things that they have.
See, you know what, Rovik, let me ask you a question. Have you ever placed a bet on 4D or Toto?
No, I actually, so it was really interesting for me to do all this research because now I know how to do those things, but I never knew. I never knew how to do it.
So you never bought one?
No, did you? Have you?
You know what? I've never bought one myself.
So it seems like we're both not subject matter
Oh
experts.
no. Okay.
But I you know what? It's a whole world by itself.
Of course.
Uh,
And you know what? I think the stats. I think we fall in the other part of the stats, but the stats actually, which I'm going to be talking about later, about gambling for 4D in Singapore, is going to be quite interesting. I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
we found some really. So it could be shocking to some people. In
Yeah. Of
fact,
course.
that the numbers that we're getting are in some ways what you'd expect, and in other ways
know.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back to the Tote board first.
Okay. Sure. Definitely.
So the Tote board is again, it's a regulator and manager of all these gambling associations.
Right.
But it also operates as a grant maker. So let's talk about the grant maker part of it, because
Okay.
I think we need to keep things in context. And then once we do that, we can go into all the gambling.
Okay. Sure.
So the Tote board works closely with stakeholders to identify different social needs and challenges. They have 6 key sectors.
Okay.
They look at arts,
Arts.
community development,
Okay.
education,
Right.
health,
Mm-hmm.
social service, and
Right.
sports.
Right.
So all the money, all the surpluses that they get, they direct it towards funding projects and programs across a couple of domains. One of them is basically community resilience. The other is equitable opportunities for vulnerable groups. And the third is enhanced quality of life. So as long as you have a project or initiative that kind of fits within those things, you can actually apply for Tote board money. And they give grants.
I see.
So
Wow.
that's one of their primary operations.
I see. I see.
Which is pretty cool, I think.
You know, this entire thing is just making me feel really good about gambling.
Yeah.
I mean, every dollar you put in goes, X amount goes to some art or some social cause or some.
Don't worry, we'll go into some of the dirty deals later.
Okay, wow,
Like,
dirty deals. All right.
Exactly. Like it basically creates so there's actually people who've done studies on actually, what are your odds of winning?
Okay.
And how much should you put in order to get a return?
Okay.
The numbers are not good.
Sure. Let's continue.
Yeah, so the Tote board basically has been around for a long time. It took over the conduct of a bunch of different betting companies and agencies.
Okay.
And it's been essentially giving money out. Some of the key programs that it's done, it's given to the Esplanade a lot.
Okay.
It's given to Singapore Discovery Center a lot.
Right.
It's worked with Ministry of Health and Health Promotion Board to do public health screenings.
Right.
So there's been a lot of clear outcomes. It's one of the key partners for the President's Challenge and Community Church Challenge. So
speaking of that makes it the 30th anniversary of the Tote board this year?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah,
right. So
so-
really apt time for us to talk about the Tote board today.
Yeah, we've not gotten any
30
funding.
years of gambling, but
Yeah,
contributing to society.
exactly.
Right.
We don't get any funding for this. We should probably try to
Maybe
switch
sure,
that.
hey, Tote board, could you give us some funding because we're just talking about you right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hashtag Tote board.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to talk about which one should we do first? Should we do horse racing?
You know what? Let's go with the most common thing that everybody knows, which is 4D.
40.
And I don't even know what the meaning of 4D is.
Well, 40 means 4 digits.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
you
Completely do not.
exactly. Let's go through the rules.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So for the first time person, I mean, those who already put bets before, you probably know the mechanisms. But for those people who don't know what 4D is, here we go.
Actually, before we do that,
Okay.
if anyone has any tricks or tips in how to win, or like, so how should you put numbers down? How should you time it?
Okay.
What are the tricks and tips to winning 4D and Toto?
Okay.
If you
Right.
know those tips and tricks, put it in the comments.
Okay.
Not for me, not for Willie necessarily, just for general
That's the
knowledge.
caveat.
We want to know what are your tips and tricks to winning in 4D, winning in Toto, winning in even horse racing.
Yeah.
How do you?
Totally for educational purposes. We just
Educational
want to
purposes.
find out how you do it mathematically.
Exactly.
Or format. Yeah. Just
But there could be people there who game the system.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Counting cards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 4D.
All right.
You choose a 4-digit number
Okay.
from anywhere from 0000
Okay.
to 99999.
Okay. No, 9999.
Yes. 99999.
No, that's 5 digits.
Yeah.
5 digits.
You get your minimum bet is $1 inclusive of GST. That's nice of them. And
Okay.
basically you make a draw every Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday at 6:30 p.m. So basically, you have 3 chances a week essentially to win 4D.
Okay.
There are 23 sets of winning 4D numbers across 5 prize categories. So you have first place, second place, third place,
Mhm.
consolation prize, and starter prize. So the values for each of those winnings are different, and it depends on what kind of bet you make.
Okay.
So there are 2 types of bets. There's a big bet and a small bet.
Okay.
Hey.
Big bet, small bet.
If you make a big bet, you get to potentially win across all 5 categories.
Right.
Whereas if you make a small bet, you can only win from the first, second, and third category. So you basically
Okay.
lose out on winning the small amounts. So
I see.
yeah.
I see.
So
I see.
if you make a big bet, for every $1 that you put
Right.
on a big bet,
Okay.
your chance of your prize for winning first
Right.
is $2,000.
Okay.
Second is 1,000. Third is 490.
Okay.
A starter is 250, and consolation is 60.
Wait. How do we get these categories? How is the first or second or third selected?
So it's basically all drawn at random.
Okay.
Right, and basically.
Okay, so they're saying we will now pick the first winning number.
Yes.
And this is the 4 digits.
Yes.
I see.
And then
I
the
see.
second and the third and the starters and the constellations. And the starters and constellations are more numbers.
Okay.
And so all you have to do is have a number within that category.
Right.
Yeah. And
right.
so if you win any of those, if your number matches any of those numbers, then you get those prizes. If you only make a small bet, though,
right.
Then for every $1, your first prize is more. It's $3,000.
Yeah.
Your second prize is $2,000, and your third prize is $800.
Just twice the amount from the big bet on the first 3 categories.
Yeah, almost twice the amount.
Okay. I see.
Yeah, and so.
It's funny. That sounds like a bigger bet then.
Exactly.
Yeah. So a small bet is actually larger in winning, and then a big bet.
Kind of, right? When you make a big bet, you get more chances to win because it's across more categories.
2 additional categories, right?
Yeah, but
okay.
The starter and constellation categories also have more numbers.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas if you make it on a small bet, then you're only looking at 3 numbers, but your odds, your returns on it are much higher.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi guys, for those joining us right now, today we're talking about gambling and the history of Tote, as well as some stats about gambling. If you have anything that you want to leave comment, please just leave it regarding gambling. I think today we had Ryan talking about gambling to find a woman, which is totally not topic today.
Yeah, but good comment.
Well, we will consider that for the next episode.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's continue.
So 4D has been around since May of 1986. And it was actually started on new computerized gaming systems.
Right, that's older than the Tote board, right? Tote board is 1988 and 4D is 1986.
Yeah, so when the Tote board started, it basically took the 4D operation and made it its.
Right. I see.
And basically, they have been, in fact, since 1993, the 4D was actually tied to the Singapore Sweep draw.
Okay.
So we'll talk about the Singapore Sweep draw later. It's basically a permutation of numbers,
right?
The ticket numbers that you get. But every first Wednesday of the month, your 40 winning numbers are basically reflected as the last 4 digits of the 23 winning number combinations of the Singapore Sweep draw.
Okay.
So it's kind of tight. If you on the first Wednesday of the month, you have a chance of winning both potentially the Singapore Sweep as well as 4D.
If you buy the 4D?
If you buy both.
Oh, if you buy both.
Yeah, but if you're a lucky number kind of person,
right?
And you'll once you get those numbers, then you.
So tell me now, how does the Singapore Sweep work then?
You want to go into Singapore Sweep?
Yeah. I mean, now since you're talking about it, right, and then there's this like double chance of winning kind of thing. So how does the Singapore Sweep work then?
So basically, the Singapore Sweep, you just buy tickets.
Okay.
Right. So there are 3.5 million tickets for sale.
Okay.
Notice the odds
sounds
very
like
low.
the general population of Singapore. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Each ticket is $3.
Right.
And every first Wednesday of the month, basically there's a draw.
Okay.
And what happens is that there are 133 winning 7-digit numbers. So if your ticket number matches any one of those 133 numbers, you win a prize of at least $1,000.
Wow. Okay.
And up to $2.3 million.
For the exact number? Or?
For the exact number.
Okay. So how does this work? I mean, you buy a ticket, you get like how many numbers is this? Like 8 numbers?
7
numbers.
Yeah.
And you basically try to find a matching number, and they're based on categories for the matching number.
I think you're confusing it.
Okay.
The Singapore Sweep is basically just numbers that are given out. So
no, of course. So there are numbers given out, and then essentially they will just report all these numbers based on the 130 plus categories.
133.
133.
Yeah. So
categories,
there's all the way from first, second, third. There's jackpot prize. There's a lucky prize. There's a gift prize. There's a consolation prize. There's a participation prize.
I see.
So your first, second, third are 1 numbers per category.
Right.
Your jackpot is like 10. Your lucky is 10. Gift is 30. Consolation 30. Participation 50. So that adds up to 130.
Right.
And if your number is any one of those numbers, you get anywhere from $1,000. And the first prize is 2.3 million.
Okay.
So like we said, the 40 number tends to be the last 4 digits of these numbers as well. So like we were saying, the last 4 digits of the top 23 winning number combinations becomes the 40.
I see.
Yeah. So So that's like
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's the thing.
So wait. So if you buy 4D and your first four numbers happens to be in the single suite, is that how it works?
Well, when you buy 4D,
Yeah. Your first four
you-
number matches the first four numbers of.
yeah,
The
I
single
mean,
suite.
you only have 4 numbers.
All right,
There's
of
no
course.
first 4.
Okay, so right, any of the four numbers, fine.
Yeah.
Any of the four numbers in, and then you basically win.
You win the 4D, but if you're a lucky number,
Just taking the numbers from
Yeah.
single suite to determine the winners.
exactly.
Okay, I get it now.
Exactly.
Right, okay, that's cool.
So it's a lot of like, I'm sure there's a lot of numerology stuff going on.
Right.
And people are making these bets.
So what's your lucky number, Rolling?
I'm not gonna say it out loud,
Why?
but why? I'm not gonna give it to someone. It's my lucky
No, so it only works on you. I mean, if you give it out, no one's gonna work on somebody else, right?
No, I believe in superstition. I'm gonna keep it to myself. Yeah, another part about Singapore sweep, if the last 2 digits of your ticket number match any of the 9 winning 2-digit numbers draw.
Okay.
So they will draw 2-digit numbers as well.
Right.
And you win $6.
Right.
So there's
I see.
they basically, I think what I'm seeing here is actually that they're creating multiple ways for you to think that you can win.
Okay.
It's called
Okay.
a 2D delight, this last 2 digit numbers.
Okay.
And there are 315,000 of those in
2D
every draw.
delights. I
Yeah.
see. And you basically get $6
Yeah.
from every $3 you spend.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
okay.
But you
That's
need to be one of the 315,000.
Mm.
So like I said, multiple ways for you to think that you could win,
Okay.
right? Even if you don't win the top prize, you could potentially win $6.
Right.
But
right.
remember, 350,000 out of 3.5 million. That's still not good odds.
Mm.
And we'll talk
Of course,
about
true.
we'll talk about the odds in a bit.
Right. I see.
The last one is actually Toto.
Okay.
So Toto is basically it's a combination of the words tote board,
Right.
like totalizator,
Yeah.
and lotto or lottery, right? So Toto, basically this one you choose. This is actually the most complicated,
Okay.
but I think it's one of the ones that people love the most.
Okay. I'm ready. Let's go.
It basically you pick at least 6 numbers
Okay.
between 1 to 49,
Oh, okay.
right?
Right.
Minimum cost is also $1, same as 40,
Yeah.
inclusive of GST. The draws take place Monday and Thursday at 6:30 p.m.
Okay. Monday and Thursday. I got
Yeah.
that. The other one was Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Is that correct? I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I will. Let's go back to that. But it's basically Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, okay,
absolutely
got it,
right. So actually, you get to draw pretty much every day if you want, which is not good. Also, see, like I said, I'm getting very
It's fun
confused.
every day.
I'm getting very confused. Is the government trying to encourage gambling or not encourage gambling? Because it basically has 2 different arms, right?
Well, if you think about it, it's just small. I mean, is it really in small amounts? Right.
Sure.
Right. So I mean, you don't want to. I mean, you just buy one day. Then it's not like every day. Okay, some people maybe every day is a lucky day for them. They
Yeah.
buy every day. And if you were to spend like $3 every day or something like that, if it was on 4D, for example. Now I don't think that's how it works because 4D was like a certain amount, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it does confuse me, and we'll talk about the numbers and
Yeah,
problem
we'll do
gambling.
that.
But yeah. So 6 winning numbers and 1 additional number are drawn each draw.
Okay.
So you pick 6 numbers for your own ticket between 1 to 49, and then later on during the draw, 6 winning numbers and 1 additional number are drawn.
Okay.
If your chosen number includes at least 3 of the winning numbers, you win a prize.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So basically, there are different kinds of bets that you can make. Mostly in Toto, but actually this kind of makes its way through 40 as well. There is an ordinary entry where you choose the numbers, or you can do what is called a systems entry.
Okay.
So a systems entry is where you basically choose numbers anywhere up to from 7 to 12.
Okay.
And basically you're increasing your odds of winning by choosing more numbers, but then you also pay a lot more. And sometimes you also
Right.
get to allow any permutation of those numbers to be it. So there's also a system roll
Okay.
where you place a bet on 5 numbers and you have a rolling number, which is basically any of the other 44 numbers. So that means you're basically having a random number that can
Right.
fulfill any of the of the numbers that you want.
Okay.
And you can also do quick pick for both this and 4D, where
Right.
you basically say, I'll give you the money, you choose randomly what I get.
So it's like the robot chooses your winning number.
Exactly, the robot.
It'd be good to know how many people won from getting the machine to generate numbers for them.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Or does the machine not make sure you win?
Well, you and I both have a bit of CS background. We both know that random isn't necessarily always random.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, definitely.
So the machine choosing thing, I'm not too
I don't
sure.
know. Maybe it's a non-working number. But you know what? I guess we'll have the Tote bot to explain this to us, or maybe
Exactly.
Toto to explain this to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way the lotto works is actually quite different from 4D and Singapore Sweep.
Tell me, Lotto? You mean by the US Lotto?
No. So
What
I mean
Lotto?
Toto.
Oh, Toto.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm using Toto is basically Singapore Lotto.
Okay. All right. Sure.
And Toto basically 54% of sales
Yeah.
generated in that draw will basically be added to the prize pool, and that is for distribution of prizes. So anyone who participates in that draw, 54% of the sale is what you're going to access.
I see.
And so if you win jackpot all 6 numbers, then you get 38% of the prize pool.
Wow.
But the Tote bot also assures you a minimum guaranteed amount of $1 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And there are different categories. So group 2 is like 5 plus additional number.
Yeah.
That's 8% of the prize pool.
Right.
It keeps going down. How many numbers plus additional numbers.
Right.
And basically, if there are more than 1 winners and groups 1 to 4, then those prizes will be divided equally amongst all winners of the respective group.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
There's also snowball. So if there's no winner in group 1, 2, 3, 4, it is added to the prize amount within the same group of the next draw.
I see.
So then that's how we've gotten some pretty big numbers.
Amounts
Yeah.
historically, yeah, I remember it was like 4 million or something.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah, I think I saw that as well.
Yeah. So
Alright.
the Toto is actually the oldest one in Singapore. So it started in 1968, and it was the first Toto game in the history of Singapore.
1968. Wow.
Yeah. So it's evolved over time. You can imagine back in the day they would have like show people like having the numbers come out and everything. And it's evolved a lot. The current version has only been around since 2014 actually. So it's been quite different over time.
I see. All right. Anyway, for those who are just joining us right now, if you have experienced gambling or you'd like to talk about this subject of gambling on like 4D, Toto, or horse betting, please leave a comment for us. And if you really enjoy the show, just say hello to us as well. And we're just doing this because it's a passion work as well. We really enjoy having company as well on this Monday today. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I see you too.
Yeah.
All right, back on to gambling for today on 4D, Toto, and the Singapore Sweep.
Yep. You wanna? Okay.
So, like, what is the most amount ever in any of the games?
It's a good question. I don't know the answer.
Oh, okay. Okay.
but I do know what the odds of winning are.
Okay, sure.
And actually, so for first prize across all 3 categories.
Yeah.
You tell me, which do you think has the best odds of winning?
Wow, just by mere.
Based on what we've been talking about and based on like pure gut feel.
Singapore Sweep?
No, actually no.
Okay.
Very wrong. Thank God you're not betting, man. Really.
All right.
It's actually 4D.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's a 1 in 10,000 chance to win all
top
3
prize.
categories.
Oh,
First,
wow,
second,
okay.
and third
Wow.
in 4D.
Right.
But Singapore Sweep actually has the worst odds. It's 1 in 3.2 million
I see.
for winning any of those. For Toto,
It's even worse in Toto, right?
yeah, so Toto is the worst. Toto, in order to win the first prize, is 1 in 13,983,860.
So it's like 1 in 14 million chance of winning.
Essentially.
Guys, yeah.
And second prize is 1 in 2.3 million, around there. The last and third prize is 1 in 55,000.
I see. So, guys, you want to increase your chances of winning, maybe of winning the top prize, maybe Toto isn't the thing.
Yeah,
4D is your thing. The second to 4D is the Singapore Sweep.
exactly.
But that's really big odds between 1 is to 10,000 and 1 is to 3.2 million.
Yeah, the odds are not good.
And the next is 1 in 14 million.
In fact, there's a pretty good Money Smart article that's out there.
Right.
If you want to Google it later,
Mm.
where they basically talk about how people have basically lost more money over time. So, when you think about it, you're like, oh, I'll just give $10 a month, put it on the betting,
Okay.
and then if I win, I win.
Okay.
Right? And they did an analysis, a very small sample size, but they found out that the people who did win,
Right.
like they may have won maybe $100,
Okay.
they would have been betting at least $600 to $1,500 over like a duration of a couple of years in order to win that first pot of money. And so, when they win, they're super happy because in their mind, they're like, oh, I put $10 in this month and I got $100.
Right.
But actually, no, you've been putting in money over this couple of years.
Right.
So
the historical value of money put in, future value, okay, let's not get very technical terms.
exactly.
It's less than what you're going to win.
Yeah.
All right. Fair warning.
Yeah.
Well, but for some people, that might not be true because if you won first prize, it's 2.3 million right there.
Right, but remember these odds. Remember these odds.
Odds and big winning numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool. What's next about betting?
The last
gaming.
one I will talk about is basically horse racing.
Okay, horse racing.
So under Singapore rules, there's one more called sports betting.
Okay.
But that's pretty standard. That's where you basically, it's nothing really Singaporean. You're basically betting money on, like for example, soccer games.
Okay.
On the odds that you win,
Right.
or motor races, the
Right.
odds that a certain car or.
So have you ever put money
No,
in
dude,
a football team or something like that?
No, absolutely
Okay,
not.
all right.
Remember those ads that they would have where it's like Papa bet money on Germany
Oh
during
yeah,
the World Cup season? Because
Yeah.
a lot of people do it,
right.
right? And again, I find it hilarious because it's by the NCPG, it's a
Right.
government body,
Yeah.
talking about problem gambling that happens under the Singapore Tote Board, which is
Right.
another government body.
Right. I guess people don't want others to excessively gamble beyond their means. I
Yeah,
suppose.
it's an interesting creative tension, and I think
Mm.
also it's probably more against like illegal betting as well. 'Cause
Oh
people
yeah,
do
that's
that.
true. That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
So horse racing is basically something you can do at Singapore Turf Club, which is
Okay.
in Turf City, and they have races actually. I didn't know this.
Right.
Maybe that's my own ignorance, but they still have races there. So if you want to catch a horse race, you just have to go to Turf City
Right.
and find a race. But it's basically where you can make any kind of bets. There are different kinds of bets. There's a win, like whether a horse will finish first, all the way to a forecast where you can bet like first and second, like the order of the horses.
Right.
The bet values are normally around $2 to $5, and you get a dividend based on whether you win or you don't.
What do you mean by dividend?
So basically, it's a terminology within horse racing where your balance is paid out as a dividend, because what happens is that they take a commission of your winnings actually.
I see.
So the turf club basically takes anywhere from 0 to 18%, and for some kinds of bets they make up to 25%.
Oh, I see.
So the remainder is called the dividend.
Right. You
Yeah.
extract from the main pool of earnings from that particular. Okay.
Exactly.
I
So
see.
it's quite interesting actually, the whole horse racing thing, because it's like a fancier way of
Fancy hats.
yeah, people. So in the public grandstand, you can dress casually, and that's the cheapest one. I think you can pay with EasyLink to go in. Actually,
Oh,
that's
okay.
how accessible
Okay.
it is. But everywhere else, like the betting halls, the owner's lounge, the derby room, all these like corporate areas,
Right.
you need to have smart casual or polo shirts.
Okay.
So it's a bit more fancy, and it's like a more distinguished way of betting.
I was thinking that some people are telling me that there was a science to identifying the winning horse as well. Its structure, how it walks,
I'm sure.
how it holds its head up.
I mean, you can also assess it by the jockey, right?
that's
How
true.
it's trained, who's the coach.
It's true.
I don't know if you've watched Peaky Blinders.
No.
Oh, dude, it's a great TV show.
Okay.
Peaky Blinders is this show on Netflix about this. Actually, it's a bunch of gangsters in Birmingham.
Mm.
But one of the key things that they do is they take over betting
Okay.
And they have a lot of illegal betting rings. And what happens is that the key character, Tommy,
Right.
he basically buys a horse, puts it in the race, and he tries to make sure that that horse wins. And it's so interesting to see, how does he train the horse? How does he make sure it's taken care of and everything?
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now that we've talked about all the different types of gambling, I think
Right.
we can't do this topic justice without talking about some of the effects that happen. So you could win,
Right.
or you could lose miserably.
Right.
And that's what problem gambling comes out of, when people basically get into an unhealthy habit where they're always thinking about gambling,
Of course.
where they're always complaining about not having enough money.
Sure.
And I think it's worth looking at some of the stats for it.
Right. I think the stats will be covering about who exactly are the people betting,
Yeah.
what games are really popular, and what exactly is the demographic for which races bet more than others.
Yeah. I mean,
which age groups bet more than others.
We can't take too much from the data as well.
Okay, as a sample.
Just because more of one group bets based on statistics, that doesn't mean that someone is predisposed to bet because of that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But you should be proud of yourself that it is not the Indians that bet the most.
Yeah, that would have been a risky one.
Yeah, it's the Chinese that bet the most. So guys, we're going to jump right in to about the stats of 4D, Tote, or all these different gambling stats about in Singapore.
Right.
So let me just tell you, this is what I'm reading off from. It's actually the report of survey on participation in gambling activity among Singapore residents in 2017. You can download it offline from the NCPG website, but really I'm just going to read out some of the really interesting stats that we see about Singapore and the gambling behaviors as well.
Right.
So this is actually the stats about what they found in 2017. In Singapore today, of course, 2018. We're going to find out a little bit. Did you know that 52% of Singapore residents aged 18 and above reported that they had participated in at least one form of gambling in the last 12 months?
Wow.
Yeah, 52%.
That is
Singapore residents.
That is a lot of people.
Of course, that's like more than.
I'm in the minority.
Exactly, same as me. I'm just very curious. And you know what?
It's
This
nothing
is
new to me. I've always been in a minority. I'm a guy. Maybe that's not a minority, but everything else, yeah.
Okay, so this was an increase of 8% from in 2014.
Right.
So in 2014, it was 44% of residents, and now we're seeing that in 2017, it's 52%. So more people are actually betting. I mean, compare these two across this time, I think it's like.
But this number also includes social gambling.
Yes,
Yeah,
it also
so
includes social gambling.
It's not just
4D and Tote, but it's also people. I suppose social gambling would be if you participated in friendly Chinese New Year mahjong games outside your void deck or in your homes. That constitutes social gambling to some extent.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you know what? Even if this is included, you'll be quite surprised. That doesn't really form the majority of things as well.
Oh,
social
okay.
gambling. But let's go on and take a look at this. All right. So let's see. Gambling participation by demographic, and I already gave the answer. It is 62% of people, or 62% of Chinese gamble.
Wow.
Yeah, 62% of Chinese. So think about it. So we're 100 population of Chinese. Every 100 Chinese, 62 people are actually gambling.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know what? That if it's the dominant people that are gambling are male.
Right.
Yeah, so 58% of males actually gamble. And
I mean, if you think about it, most of them tend to be the breadwinners in today's society still. So that makes
possibly
sense.
Well, if you find out that also residents aged 40 years and above make up 58% of the gamblers.
Okay.
Right? So 40 years, maybe they could be breadwinners.
Right.
Right, but 48%, 58% are age 40 and above, and also residents with PSLE and below education qualifications make up 58% of the gamblers.
Right, we're seeing a lot of this 58%.
Right. But I think I'm just highlighting the top numbers. But if you exactly see against what the other stats are, it might be a lot different.
Yeah.
I'm just highlighting this. Also, the top demographic that gambles is those with an average monthly income between $1,000 to $1,999, so below $2,000.
Right.
They make up 58% of gamblers as well. So that's a pretty interesting stat as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. or rather, people between who earn between $1,000 to $1,000 to $2,000. 58% of that demographic actually bet. It's
Right.
not. It's not. We're not talking about the people, the total people who actually have a certain kind of
Yeah.
income bracket.
But this is also the groups of the highest percentage of participation.
Of course.
Right.
But let me just quickly go into the stats specifically. So it doesn't really seem like we're making this up, or really we're just pinpointing a certain group.
Right.
So just maybe let's go by the different spectrum of age groups, and then later we get an understanding as well.
Sure.
That actually is pretty even
Okay.
across age groups. So if you're 18 to 29 years old, right, chances of in 2017 of you gambling is 41%,
Oh wow.
right? If you're aged between 30 to 39 years old, the number increases to 48%. So you see, it's almost like 50%, right?
Yeah.
If you're 40 to 49, it's 57% of your age demographic between these ages. 50 to 59, it's 58%, and if you're 60 and above, it's 57%.
Right.
So we're seeing like a gradual increase as your age goes, but really it's not too far off. 41, the lowest, and 58, the highest.
Right. I mean, even if you look at, so just now we were talking about education.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
It was 58% for PSLE and below. But
that's right.
let's look all the way at university degree. What's that number?
Yeah, university degree actually makes up. If you have a degree or you're taking a degree and above, 51% probably of this demographic probably have also
Yeah.
placed a
So
bet as well.
these numbers aren't starkly different.
Yeah. So I mean, look at this. If you have O levels, IT or VITB, it's 56%. If you've taken A levels or gone to a polytechnic, 49% of your cohort.
So actually, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Which are the groups that don't gamble? Which have the lowest gambling participation rates?
don't gamble.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go by ethnicity, all right?
Right.
And in this particular survey, right, out of all the Malay population, only 9% of Malays bet.
Yeah.
Only 9% of Malays bet.
And I think that's tied to religion as well. If you look at Islam, only 10% of people who practice Islam bet.
Exactly.
So I think it's a highly religious thing.
Right, I think so too. I mean, look, of course, the Chinese population is 62%
Right.
of Chinese bet, and then you have Indians,
33%.
33%.
Yeah,
You
wow.
gotta be proud of yourself.
I mean, again,
I don't know whether this is relative. Yeah,
there's
this is relative.
there's no value judgment because this doesn't talk about problem gambling.
Right.
Right. This is just pure gambling, and like we said, we can't really make a judgment on how good or bad gambling is.
Of
You know,
course.
if you do like a $10 a month thing, that's your business. Like you are in the full rights to do it, and I'm not going to judge. It's only when it becomes problematic where you start affecting
That's true.
your family,
That's true.
start affecting your ability to perform well.
Right.
That's where I think it requires a bit of intervention and saying like, okay, like this, we need to reconsider priorities.
Of course.
But this is pure
Yeah.
gambling participation. So,
Of course.
So no judgment.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right. And of course, I think we pointed out about religion, right? Let's look at religion and see which religions are the top gamblers, and see how this goes actually. So in religion, of those respondents who are Taoists,
Yeah.
76% of Taoists bet.
Okay.
Respondents, right?
Interesting.
That's the top.
Yeah.
So if you're a Taoist, you have a 76% chance that you will place a bet.
Rather
Or rather, respondents in
Yeah.
that survey, right?
Yeah.
So unless, of course, we consider the fact of that sample size within that survey is true to the overall population,
Right.
yeah, then you have a 76% chance of winning. But if it's just respondents, yes, it says that 76% of respondents who are Taoists actually bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and followed by Buddhism, which makes up for 67%. People with no religion make up 60%. Interestingly, Christianity is 44%.
You know, right.
So in every 100 Christians, there are 44 people who, in this respondent, who actually bet.
Yeah.
Hinduism makes up 42%,
Yeah.
right? And of course, we talked about earlier, if you are practicing Islam in this survey, only 10% actually place a bet,
Yeah.
right?
So those are interesting numbers.
Yeah.
Do we know exactly what's the proportion between like 40 total?
Oh yeah, actually we do. Let's take a look at how many percent of people actually play all games.
Yeah.
40 total social gambling or Singapore sweep, right? So let's look at this. All right, for all the respondents who actually placed a bet, 52% have played all games.
Yeah.
Have done all the games from jackpot machines down to online gambling, social gambling.
Yeah. This is accumulated number.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Of all the respondents who placed a bet or gamble, 42% actually play 4D.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
And that's the highest.
that's the highest, and it also has the highest odds, right? Like you say, 1 in
Right.
10,000.
The best odds.
The best odds.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Followed by Toto, which is 36%.
Okay.
Okay, and then some form of social gambling, which is 21%.
You know, technically when we bet this $5 bet just now, that was
Yeah.
social gambling.
Yeah, it is.
So I guess
that counts as we are now part of the stats.
Oh
right now.
no.
I
Yeah.
think I might be winning it today. And of course, the Singapore sweep with the 1 in 14 million chance of winning is 18%.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Sports betting 2%.
Only sports betting places 2%.
Yeah.
I mean, considering 4D, Toto, and
Yeah.
Singapore sweep, sports betting only places 2%. Though
Right.
we're running so many ads for NCPG
Right.
about not betting on Germany.
Maybe the values that they bet are much higher.
But that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe you could be right. Exactly. Yeah, that's why they don't really make up a lot as well.
Right.
They could be betting millions.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of sagas about
Yeah.
sports betting in the world.
I mean, some significant ones could be jackpot machines at local casinos. We're talking about IRs,
Yeah.
integrated resorts. That's 1%. Jackpot machines in local clubs. So I think something like NTUC has some local machines as well.
Right.
Or maybe some country clubs have their own machines as well.
Yeah.
It makes up 1%. Jackpot machines in cruises outside Singapore, they make up about another 2%.
Right. So these numbers tend to be pretty minor. Horse betting is 1%.
Yeah.
Online gambling is 1%. So the biggest
Yeah.
is actually 4D.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, it goes to why we did this whole episode. It's such a big part of Singapore.
Exactly.
42%
It's
of
culture.
Singaporeans have participated in 4D.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
I guess so. It's like every day people say, hey, did you buy 4D?
Yeah.
Or hey, did you buy Toto?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Come to think about it, I don't really hear people say, did you buy a Singapore sweep?
Right.
It gets a bit more rare. Yeah.
So it's interesting because knowing these numbers, we can see why problem gambling is a concern for a lot of people.
Right.
What I know from what the Tote board does in order to prevent the Singapore pools and the Tote board, what they do is to kind of encourage like responsible gambling.
Right.
Some of the key things they do, they don't let you bet if you're under 18.
Right.
They don't let you use credit, so you have to use either cash or debit, so money you have rather than leveraged money.
Right. I see. So they don't allow credit cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They ban alcohol and cigars and cigarettes, all the stuff from their betting venues.
So you're not betting under the influence of some
Exactly.
some influence, I suppose.
Yeah. And they plaster all over the place responsible play. So like play responsibly. It's basically all over the place.
Right.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, to take this like an entertainment or something.
Exactly. Like to be responsible.
Right.
And they do all these kind of systems level checks, like you have to create an account for certain things.
Right.
You have to have an OTP, like a one-time password.
Right.
You can even institute your own funding limit
Right.
if you want to do that. And they also have people, the way that they do it. So for example, low minimum bet that we had, like $1.
Yeah.
That is something that they basically did as a way of ensuring that people don't overpay.
Of course.
More than they can.
Speaking of how much people actually spend on gambling, we have a table right here that says that the median monthly betting amount in 2017 was $30 a month that people actually bet and waste money. So I think some people that's manageable, some people it's not.
Yeah.
But it's roughly about 30. That's the median. We don't know the average, but that's about the median $30 a month.
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing.
There's in fact this thing by the MAS, Monetary Authority of Singapore, where they do this thing called Care for Winners program.
Okay.
So if you win a huge pile of money, they
Yeah.
actually work with you to make sure that you can preserve and grow your newfound wealth.
Oh, wow.
That is so interesting.
Oh, you know what? I actually seen a lot of these, especially reported in the US, right? When these people, they had so much money at this.
And they just went bankrupt.
Just went bankrupt.
Because they either overinvested the money that they had, they gave it away to all their friends, they spent it.
Exactly.
Right.
And then they became in debt.
Yeah, so I mean that's a legitimate concern, right? I mean, statistically, there's a lot of very interesting studies. Actually, I was listening to a podcast by Planet Money that said that your happiness levels actually cannot be necessarily tied to how much you win, for example.
Of course.
So there's a lot of these very interesting studies out there and it's the best kind of performance of chance, right? What effect chance has. But yeah.
Yeah, you know, this other interesting thing that I thought maybe everyone we could bring to your attention is, when do people start gambling?
Right.
I mean, this is pretty interesting. I think you can see the stats as well, but of
Right.
course, we're going to tell you today, I mean, based on this. If you are, I mean, in 2017, we're going to have two categories we're talking about. First is your first gambling participation by your age group, and your first regular gambling participation by your age group. All right, what's the difference? Basically, your first exposure to gambling, and secondly, when did you gamble frequently, at what age? So if you are below 18 years old, your first chances of someone your first gambling participation is about 12%
Right.
of the entire cohort. So this 12%, if you're below 18 years of age, you actually are exposed to gambling.
Right. But what's the highest? Actually?
The highest is actually between 18 to 24, ages 18 to 24, where 45% of this age group actually had their first gambling participation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So chances of you actually picking gambling up is probably between the ages of 18 to 24. If,
Wow.
of course, once a caveat, if you best represent this study by NCPG.
Right.
And you know what? What's the highest first regular gambling participation is actually the same age of 18 to 24.
So most people who, I mean, we can't draw a relation. We don't
we
know.
can't.
But most people, I suppose it's possible that people who first start gambling between 18 and 24, they also stick to it.
Exactly.
And that's what these numbers probably could indicate.
Exactly. And
the first exposure is in which one? Which kind of gambling? I see here it's 4D.
Yeah, it's 4D. So first, I mean,
4D is your gateway gambling encounter.
And of course, for everyone, right, the first gambling participation they have it on 4D is actually 57%.
Right. You would think it's social gambling.
Yeah, I would think so.
Maybe the mahjong game at home.
Exactly. I thought it was poker cards with your friends or.
No, but it's 4D.
Exactly. Wow, 4D. And the second one coming in is what we thought about is social gambling.
Yeah.
Maybe mahjong games and poker games that it comes in at 27%.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And 4D, it seems to be pretty addictive because the regular gambling participation is also 82% for 4D.
Right.
So
right, you're right. Yeah.
So
I think people actually go to the stations religiously.
I mean, think about it, right? There's this culture in Singapore where your 40 number is heavily tied to fortuitous activities.
Right.
So, for example, I've heard so many times that when you get into a car accident,
like
get those numbers.
Oh yeah,
put 40.
Of the person who crashed his car,
or someone's birthday, or so many other numerology kind of concepts.
Let me tell you, I mean, among us Chinese or Asians,
right,
it's usually somebody's misfortune is your fortune.
Oh, is
so
it?
you got to see someone who crashed his car or fell down or something like that, and then you take their NRIC numbers or you take their car plate numbers.
Oh, no.
And that's how you're gonna make a winning.
I don't know how I feel about it. But I guess that explains why so many people get into 4D.
It's true.
Right, because for example, for Toto, you need to choose 6 numbers. How do you choose those numbers? That's a whole different thing. Singapore, Sweet, you can't have buy tickets.
Right.
4D is the most is the one where you have the most kind of control, I guess, and also probably the most tied to things around you.
I guess it's also because the odds of winning are a lot higher as well.
Yeah, that's true. 1 in 10,000.
I mean, the exposure to a potential winning number, even as a consolation prize or something of a small number, you at least have a taste of winning.
Right, exactly.
And that could be the thing that keeps permeating. I mean, this is an opinion, right?
Yeah.
So people is like, I had that taste, maybe I'm going to get it bigger the next time round. It could be that as well.
Yeah. This is a very interesting topic. I'm glad we did this.
Wow, 82% first regular gambling participation.
Yeah.
Right. And first gambling participation of 57%. Get 40 is definitely winning this entire thing.
Yeah.
Wow, this is so cool. Right. And of course, you have things like online gambling, which attributes by 0.2%.
Right.
Maybe like cruises, 0.6%. These are
it's interesting because online gambling is the easiest way to get onto gambling.
Of course.
Technically, according to barriers to entry.
Right.
But it's only 0.2%.
Right. It might be different from overseas, but I think Singapore probably regulates it to some extent as well.
Maybe. That's true. Yeah. I think we're coming up to the end of the show. So why don't we wrap it up?
Sure.
If you guys have any stories of gambling experiences or stuff that you want to let us talk about. Actually, maybe we'll talk about it in our next episode.
Right.
Send us a message, drop us a comment. If you're listening on podcast, just come onto our Facebook page and then send us a message. We're always here to listen. But Willie, do you think you're gonna make a bet after this? How likely are you to participate in 4D?
You know, I already placed a social bet with you. Okay? I guess I'm gonna win this $5 tonight, so I'm gonna use it for my dinner.
All right. All right.
We shall see.
Okay.
But a really interesting topic today, and of course, thank you, Ryan, for that thing about gambling on women.
Right.
Maybe we can maybe explore a topic on love in the next session.
Yeah. Why not? Like Tote and like dating.
Exactly, dating apps in Singapore.
Singapore dating network.
Yeah, of course.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, and maybe the dating scene in Singapore as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm an expert on that.
maybe there's some stats on it. We shall see.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for joining us tonight. It's a really interesting topic on betting. I think this is something that maybe we're on the side of the house. We don't really put 4Ds on.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll start to look at the cues a lot differently from today onwards.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and it's like, wow, winning odds and stuff that way. And of course, guys, I think Robic said earlier, if you have any methods or winning formulas on how you bet, please drop it in the comment section so everybody can just ask or just just PM us.
Yeah.
Don't put it on the comment section.
For wider knowledge.
Yeah, just for educational purposes so we can know. All right.
All right.
Thank you guys. My name is Willie and
I'm Rovek.
see you in the next episode of Let's Explain. Good night, guys.
Ciao.